Hello and welcome to Audionautic, and today we're checking out MPC Stems and seeing how it compares to other stem separation out there.
That's right. We compared it to Koala Sampler and FL Studios to see which is worth our time most.
Let's dive in and see how they shape up.
MPC just released their new stems, and supposedly Stems is not standalone. If you use MPC, you can correct us in the chat. Eon Lake has one, but what I've seen, it's not in standalone at least yet. You have to be, I think, connected to the program on the desktop or on your computer. So it looks like it's $9.99 here. Our patron Abby got it and sent us some stems. So I had stem separated my track farther from a couple years back using RipX here on the channel, and I couldn't find those stems. But we've got FL stem split, Koala stem split, and then MPC stem split for these tracks. And I'm gonna put all of the stems in the Discord for the highest quality if you want to listen to them, because we're doing this over the internet. There's going to be, compression and artifacting and low resolution just because of the stream. So if you want to hear it properly, head to our Discord. They'll be in there after the show. So what do we want to start with? Do we want to start with stems, or do we want to start with Koala or FL? Koala to me is always the lowest in terms of quality. It's like $5 on a $5 app, but you can actually stem split.
Let's go with sort of expectation. So maybe Koala first.
All right, let's go with Koala.
FL, you'd probably expect to be a bit better, and then I don't know about you, but I think Akai and sampling and stem splitting. I'm expecting things, so
okay.
Past, but
I like this order. I like this order. All right, Curtis, I'm going to share it, and then let's show the original source. Let's play about maybe 30 seconds because I think that's where the vocals start to come in.
Okay,
you just play at the start.
It's a good sound test as well, so let me know that.
Let's hope it works.
Yeah.
There it is.
Go to the bass comes in.
Vocals. Okay, perfect.
Kill it there. So, could listen to the song all day, but we'll have to stop it there for now.
Well, thank you. Let's go with Koala first.
Okay.
And I think you'll see some of the interesting artifacts that pop up. Especially, it really struggled with the vocals.
Okay. Do you want me to just go straight in with the vocals then?
Yeah, let's do that. So you have to skip a little bit, but maybe you don't. I mean, it'll be kind of silent, but there's a lot of artifacting.
There is. There is artifacts. As you said, there is a lot of reverb and delay on the voice, so that could be a while. But also,
you'll see what the other ones do.
Well, this is it. Yeah. So let's do this for now. So this is Koala vocals.
So it gets the vocals, but there's a lot of drum, and it's kind of phasing in and out. And I noticed that on the MPC as well. When we get to it, there's some like almost comb filtering or something, but the MPC got the vocals a lot better. I noticed later in the song, the vocals actually became cleaner. I think where there's parts where there's less instruments going on. Now there is a lot of layers. There's like a refrain in the song where I think it's just bass and vocals or something like that. And it picks up the vocals a lot better there. So the less that's going on, obviously, it's picking up more properly. Do we want to hear the drums?
Yeah, why not? These are the drums. Let's try the drums. You can hear
picking up the guitar.
Yeah. A bit of your voice as well.
Yeah, and I always notice the drums on Koala stem split have this almost like doubling effect on the kick. But here it's a lot cleaner, but it's
still there.
Yeah. And then you'll notice some of the cymbals aren't there, but they're in the melody and voice. It kind of just gets all over the place. Yeah. All right. So is there anything else we want to hear on Koala? And again, I apologize if the compression and all that is making it a little tinny. Yeah, we did not do melody. Let's do the melody. Let's do that.
let's do-
So melody's always my least favorite thing because it just takes everything that's not vocals, bass, and drums and throws it in. I wish it could get more split. And I understand there's limitations and all that for now, but yeah, it's like it'd be nice if you could get synth and then lead or something like that. Now the synth will sound super clean at the start because that's the only thing that opens the track. So
yes, so
that's an unfair.
I will go to about 47. I'll tell you what, I'll go into 30 seconds when the bass comes in.
Okay.
And we'll hear it from there. So yeah, this is Koala Melody.
Picking up some vocals. Some snare too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I found interesting when I played all 4 stems together, it sounded like the song, but separate. You get, so it's getting all these parts separated, but it's having struggles with separating it properly. Like there's cymbal bleed or actual cymbals in the vocals. But when you play it all together, it's all there. It's just being split in a strange way.
They're like jigsaw, so you don't get a clean separation between them. You get little bits that stick out, but they fit into the other bits, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay. Before we move to FL, a couple of comments. We've got Ross says, this is the last year of paying for stem separation. It'll soon be free everywhere. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that's true. But then we see like MPC just came out and they're charging. So I hope you're right. I think it's a really cool feature to have. Of course, we start getting into crazy copyright territory and all that type of stuff. But I mean, that's for someone else to worry about, I guess. Smiling Air says FL Studio is like that. Melody captures a lot. I think honestly, they all are. Serato Studio, which I really wanted to do, and I'll try and do it for the Discord because Serato is like the cleanest stem separation I've heard, but I couldn't get it. I think they might have paywalled it. And I couldn't get it at the moment. But we'll see. I'll try for the Discord later. Smiling Ears also says, but I rate the FL stems. All right. So shall we move on then? Or do either of you have anything you want to add about the Koala stem set?
No, I'm keen to move on.
Okay. Let's do, I forget which one we did first. Was it vocals?
Yeah. We did vocals, then we did drums, and then we did melodies.
Okay. We didn't do bass, but I didn't find it did the bass very well. I don't know if we want to just be fair and show all 4 of each, but we also have time constraints. So.
Yeah, we're just really quick.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things coming up.
Come on,
now I wonder too. One thing to add is I have 3 or 4 basses here. One in the low end, one in the mids, one in the high end. I always split my bass. They're all playing the same thing, and they all have. Unlike you, I think, Curtis, not everyone's playing low end. I have them EQ'd. So one is just doing the low end, one is just doing the mids, one is just doing the high end. And different ones have different amounts of distortion and saturation and things like that. Yeah, Ross says muddy, very muddy. That came out. And I'm wondering if it's struggling because it's sensing the bass in the upper regions. And so it's trying to take that into, like, incorporate that in. I'm not sure. But
kind of you to suggest.
I'm just saying. So yeah, and no, I don't think that's not what I mean. Smiling Errors. What I mean is the bass is playing the same part, but I have either one is doing like an octave higher and really quiet, but I have 3 typically that do the same part, and I just EQ. So one is only doing the low end, one is doing the mids, one is doing the highs. It's kind of like if I used a multi-band compressor, but I'm just controlling the volumes of each, and I don't want distortion on the low end, so I'm adding distortion in the mids and the highs, and then I can control the volume of each. So they're not all doing different things. They're not all hitting low end. Just one is doing one of each. So Curtis, I don't know if that's the same as what you do, but yeah.
If you're thinking he's still got the cheek to take the mick out of Curtis, that's still 4 bass tracks less than Curtis.
Yeah, it's true. And that's Curtis on his lowest setting. I think usually he's doing like 16. He's just trying to challenge himself with limitations of 8.
that number keeps getting more and more every week. But I mean, I tell you
but
what,
if you haven't done that with your bass, I recommend trying it. It's a really good way to get control in different areas. And then you could even only sidechain the low end so that the upper bass parts don't sidechain. And there's some really interesting options with how you do it there. Shall we move on to FL?
Yeah.
I would say MPC. I would say go up. So like if Koala
Alright.
is 6, MPC is 9 because FL Studio is a whole DAW. So that's like
That's true. That's a good point. Okay, so we have price wise versus expectation wise, but I think you're right. We should do price. That makes a lot of sense because we have. I think it's so the Koala one. You can buy Koala for. I believe prices may have changed, but I believe it's $5, and then the stem separation comes in one of the 2 additional priced ones. So altogether, it's probably like $15. I think each one's like $5, but you get piano roll, you get stem separation, you get EQs per pad, you get 4 bus effects and a master effects channel and some effects. That's if you buy both of these updates for I think about $15. So but for just the stems, I believe it's like $5 or $6, and we can put corrections if there are in the comments. But yeah, so FL we'll do last then. That's a good idea. So MPC for $10. Let's see what we can get with that. Shall we start with vocals, Curtis?
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep this as controlled as possible. So this is MPC Father vocals.
A lot cleaner, but still, you hear that like filter?
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's very hyper pop. Very hyper pop. It's very glitchy and in a good way. Like it's very the different aspects because obviously you've doubled up your vocals and tripled up your vocals.
Well, so there's a double of the like the main line, and then there's harmonies that pop up. And when it starts popping up, it almost sounds like it's doing some weird micro tuning or pitch changes. Like there's this weird I'm forgetting, but there's that one Sound Toys plugin. Is it Alter? You can do that like formant filtering. You can do. It sounds like there's a formant going on the vocals there or something because it starts to sound kind of trippy.
Well, yeah, so that's cool. I like how that it kind of if you're extracting a vocal in that regard for just to do like a straight to do a straight of without manipulation, it's not going to do you too good. But if you're then going to take those vocals and play with them and destroy them in a certain way, that sounds pretty good to me.
So it is a lot cleaner though. I mean, you're still getting some artifacting, but remember that first vocal part on Koala was like phasing in and out, going up and down in volume, just kind of like crazy. This one, at least, while there's some weird filtering or something going on, you can actually understand what's being said and stuff. Like the vocals are a lot cleaner. Ian, like anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm just toying in my head with the idea of do I like the ones that are less successful more?
It's tough, isn't it?
It's kind of like
isn't it?
Like pining for MP3 quality, right? You know, in the lossless age, like, oh, I kind of like the artifacts in MP3, or like, oh, I like the distortion of tape qualities or stuff.
I think from a lo-fi messing around point of view, there are definitely benefits. The things that don't stem separate very well.
Yeah, and I will say this is probably a harder track to separate because there's a lot going on and a lot of vocals. But I think that's a good metric to test. Like, how can
there is
these
a lot of overlap in the frequency ranges, isn't there? But
exactly, and that's one thing I was saying with Koala that it might struggle with that. Like, it was trying to catch those bass parts in the higher melodies or higher frequencies, and because of that, it got caught with stuff. But I think that's a good metric though. Test it with complex stuff to see what can it really do. You know, yeah, it's easy to throw something that has just like 4 tracks on it and see what it does, but like, can it do the more complex stuff? All right, let's do drums.
Okay, here's the drums.
That's a lot cleaner.
They're very clean, very clean.
a lot cleaner.
And it's not that weird doubling on the kick.
Yeah. Although
I hear some guitar, I think, though, in that when the guitar comes in right there.
Tiny bit, yeah.
Definitely a bit of pad coming through there. But generally speaking,
it's a bit too good, really, there. Because it's not as good as the drum track itself, right? It's, you know, slightly degraded, not quite the same quality.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't got any artifacts that kind of make it interesting or anything.
I would suppose, though, for getting one-shots from a sample, this would be pretty good because of how clean it is, at least in some parts.
Yeah.
You know, like you could get a good kick from it. Because the one thing I find in Koala when I try to get a kick is usually there's a little bit of bass in it. So you have a tone that if you're trying to go in a different key, it's not going to work now unless you work to repitch it or something like that. Curtis, what's your take?
Yeah, I echo the idea of the one shots. I think with a little bit of transient cutting, I think you could clean that up quite nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just make that a little bit tighter, which is nice in that regard. Very doable for $11 Yeah, that's pretty solid in that regard.
Yeah. All right, let's check out the melody.
Other, I believe, in this one. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Probably.
Yeah, I named it
Yeah.
melody. It's usually listed as other. I just put melody, just so for my reference.
I got you.
Other's pretty descriptive as to how it's created, isn't it?
Yeah. Me, I give the benefit of the doubt, I guess. So I'm nice and I put melody.
I got you. All right, here we go. That's nice.
Yeah, the guitar comes through, man. It
So,
trips up a little bit with when the vocals hit. It tries to like duck it out or something.
It does. But at the same time, MPC, thinking about the modality, the methodology. If you're an MPC, you're beat making, you throw it in, you might chop a bar, chop 2 bars, and like throw that in and then make something else with that. That is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine to do.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point to make, is that if you're trying to just get free, like if you want to just get the drums out of a track so you can use the main parts of a song without the drums, so you can add your own drums on top, this works really well for that, and it's not getting much of the bleed from the drums, whereas Koala there was a little bit. So I mean, it really depends what you're doing. I think we're trying to show like the absolute quality that it creates, but that's definitely a good point to make, is depending on your use for this type of stem separation, it's definitely workable. If you just want to get the drums out or just get the drums, like MPC is definitely going to get it there for sure, at least according to this track. Do we want to hear the other two, or what is it? We have one more part left, right? The bass.
You want to hear the bass?
Yeah, let's just do that quick.
Yeah.
One shots, definitely.
There's some weird like clipping almost in it though. And bit crush. You hear that? Like
a little bit of that, yeah.
That's not in my bass originally.
Kind of like it though.
It almost adds that like dubstep or drum and bass. What is it? What's the
a little bit
Reese bass?
Cone as well.
Yeah.
Like
but is it Reese bass? What's that one bass that does that like LFO on the filter?
Yeah, Reese bass, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like to me, with that like swell and things like that.
Lovely.
Okay, shall we move to FL, or is there anything, Ian, like that you want to add, and then we'll go to Curtis about MPC?
No, I can hold off. Let's hear the last set.
Okay, let's do it.
So we'll take this in the same vein, and we come back here. So we'll start with the vocals. So yeah, FL. I believe Smiling Errors uses FL. So I think he's used this a lot more myself. But these are anyway. Let's play it.
In the wake, you fade into sunlight. Silver strands make it hard to see. As the horizon still farther from me.
Wow, that's pretty clear.
Very clear.
And this is coming through the internet artifacting. I was not expecting that.
I've got the original here, and it's pretty damn clean for what it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Can really have some fun.
And is that free or is that paid? Well,
no,
like, I know you have to pay for FL, right? But is it?
It's all part of it. So they have. It's all part. If you buy the FL edition, you get this as part of it now. As far as 21.1, I think, or 21.
And how much is FL?
A good question. I'll
look it up. Continue the. Let's go with drums.
Let's go with drums. So yeah, this is drums.
Still getting a little guitar bleed, but
it works just percussion though.
Yeah. That kick is really clean.
the kick and the snare come through really well. Every other stem separation we've listened to has this like strange filtering to it, or comb filtering, or formant, depending on the split. These sound pretty this reminds me of Serato Studio, where it's like very good at separating these things. And again, I'll try to get Serato up and running and show it. It's just if it's paid, I can't get that right now. But if it's still free to do the stem separation
for drums, would be lots of cymbal content.
Yeah. So it looks like I'm looking on FL Studio and it says the Fruity Edition is $99. The Producer Edition is $200. Signature Bundle $300. All Plugins Edition $500. So I'm not sure what's in. Oh, it says the Fruity Edition. There's no audio recording. So we're looking at least at $200 for at least like a featured version. It seems like. And Smiling Errors, or you who use it, can correct me on anything I'm looking at. All right. What are the other ones we still need to listen through? Other and bass, or instruments and bass?
Instruments and bass. So in the name of keeping it as a controlled experiment, let's do instruments. Pretty good. You're getting the high end of the kick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there some like clicking or something going on? Is that the
I
kick?
think
Yeah,
it's the
that's
high
the
end of the
kick coming
kick,
through. Yeah, interesting.
Interesting. The instrumentation, definitely, as far as I've experienced it, is the weaker part of it. Of what it does. It's very good for vocals, very good for drums, but yes, it does get a bit weaker in that regard. But pretty clean, and while things are coming through, it's very little artifacting.
Yeah. Interesting. And then lastly, we've got bass. Let's just listen to that and then we'll give our final thoughts on it. There's no bit crush.
But there is a little bit of the keys coming through.
Yeah.
It's got to be the winner, though.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think the only weakness on FL is the instruments. I want to say, from my recollection live, I feel like the MPC instruments might have been a little cleaner, the instrument part, but maybe I'm misremembering. But everything else, I mean, that FL definitely is the winner.
I think so.
And we'll put the actual sounds, we'll put those sounds in the Discord. So if you want to hear what they actually sound like, not through internet compression and artifacting and things like that, it'll be over on the Discord. Spinger says certain guitar noises are definitely in the frequency of percussion. I'll be impressed when they figure that out. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Those are the I'm not finger picking, palm muting those guitar, and they're high notes. So that transient has a lot of high end to it. So it doesn't surprise me it comes through, but that's kind of what we're saying is let's throw the hardest thing or something hard at these stem separators and see what it can do. Like, what are they actually capable of? And so, I mean, yeah, I'm really impressed with how FL turned out. I was not expecting that.
What about favorites then?
In terms of what, like favorites for each part?
Well, that's kind of the question, really, isn't it?
I mean, are you talking favorites like just overall, like all four together, or separate? Like, which one was your favorite for drums? Which was your favorite for this?
You tell me.
You brought it up. You tell us.
Well, for example, I find myself avoiding the MPC. It kind of sits in the middle. You know, it's quite good. It's not bad. There are some artifacts. For me, Koala's got some interesting artifacts that I think I could probably do something creative with and kind of make me want to do different stuff with those samples. And FL Studio was just clearly better for a good separation. So, you know, it depends obviously what you want to do with it. If you want to actually get some proper separation, then FL Studio. But if you want some weird mangledy kind of separate into certain types of sound that you can use, because I must say I do really like the other tracks. It's like the complex harmonic and partly rhythmical content of a track with no drums and no vocals. It's brilliant program material to either run through savage chopping effects or filter effects. Because, you know, the more complex the material is, the more you hear the effect, right? So, I mean, when you listen to it, it almost sounds like you're listening to an effects send rather than, a proper channel, if you see what I mean. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
listened to an effects send.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
it's me.
Oh yeah.
But a little bit of that. It's like you didn't send any kick or snare to that particular effect, And as such, there's a lot of stuff you could do with it. I also think it might work quite well for sampling complex pads because you've got harmonic content, lots of it, so there's a good strong note there, but you've also got a lot of different instruments and high-end information twinkling away, and a little bit of plucky guitar as well. It could be quite a good pad. So there's a lot of stuff I think you can do with it. I find myself liking the Koala less.
I know what you mean.
Though.
I know what you mean because it has that kind of artifact to it that actually gives it character, and then you can do something trippy with it because those little warped sounds that are popping up of the guitar in the drum sound or something, if you can keep it in that key, you can get something really interesting out of it. And I'm actually doing that with vinyl on Koala in a couple weeks for a YouTube video where I sampled vinyl in, and then I'm stem separating it to get vocals, and the weirdness it does to the vocals actually aids its sound in terms of making it like kind of a boom bap beat. Because I took a song from Thrice, they're like rock and they go through all different genres, but so I took that, and the way it did these artifacts on the vocals fits well to kind of do that sort of looped sound that you're just like sampling and putting in and stuff like that. So it's interesting. And with the vinyl, it's another layer because now it's got the little crackles and things like that it has to work around. It's interesting. I get what you mean. But then on the other hand, I think it's cool that MPC has this offer in a piece of hardware. Now, yes, it has to be, it sounds like, connected to the program in the computer or something, but they may be, I don't know, adding, if it can get to standalone, I think it's really cool to have that feature like we have in Koala, where you can have a piece of hardware and it just separates it right there, so you can just make the beat portable. So I think it's cool that hardware is getting this. That's what I want to say. And that if that's what you're using, that you have this option now in a sampler is really awesome. And I get what you mean. It's kind of the middle of the road, but in terms of if you're using the MPC for the kind of classic MPC idea of chop these samples up, now you get this layer of I can get these drums separate and make one shots. I can get this melody or instrument part separate from the drums, and I don't have to make the chops all based on kick, snare, hi-hat, So
although you might have some challenges with overlap and all the rest of it, you could be clever about which parts of a song that you separate. If you're looking for particular sounds and there is a drum breakdown, you want drums, it's like, well, of course you'll separate that part, not the bit where there's loads of other stuff playing. So I mean, we deliberately gave it a lot of work to do, didn't we? But you could be selective about what you do and work around it and probably get better results.
Yeah, definitely. Curtis, what's your final take on this? You got to do the FL, so I'm curious having to use that one, because I did Koala, Abby very kindly did the MPC, and then you did the FL.
Yeah, I am inclined to always go on, just for my workflow, to go for cleaner and then destroy them myself or manipulate them and glitch them out. But also I've maybe that's just coming from the space of I have FL, and I've just, as soon as there was a stem separation, I went, okay, cool, I don't need anything else because I have FL.
Yeah.
And then I've got an array of plugins to kind of manipulate them myself. I have found a lot of fun in taking stems, some old stuff that I was listening to when I was a child, and making weird covers of them, so to speak, keeping the integrity of the tune while completely destroying it at the same time. So, and that's where I'm at, and I like that. I think I echo what you're saying, like that, as you brought it up. So thank you for bringing it up. This notion of within the artifacting, there is this serendipity, which allows for magic to unfurl in a wonderful way.
Sounds like a Disney movie or something.
It does. But I like having the clean separation. And I just, again, I use it for teaching. I use it for to manipulate my own stems. I like that, and I'm going to stick with that for now. because I have access to it.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. I mean, I never learned more from than when I did breaking down of songs. Like, okay, this is how they did that part, and hearing those individual parts and just feeling like understanding why that was there and what it was. So I can understand the cleaner stem separation, especially in that aspect. But also, if you're doing sample-based music, you'll probably want cleaner. But there's something to be said about the artifacting, but also for about $5 or, well, 10, let's say, because you have to get the app, the fact that you can have any form of stem separation in your pocket in a phone is just crazy to me, because I can just sample from like Spotify. I can just hold my microphone up and take sounds and see what stem separation does to random sounds out in the world, like what Ian was saying with the pad. Or if I'm working in the DAW setup, I can do stem separation and send it into the Digitact or the SP. So to me, I think it's really cool that there's this portability option. It's as artifacty as it might be, it's there for just a couple bucks. Like I can just sample and stem separate anywhere, and I love the workflow of Koala, so it's fun then to get one shots from that. But I'd love to see if they could update the stem separation algorithm or quality on Koala to be, you know, as things get better and better, like if they can update it, that would be really cool to see.